Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to DVC Geeks. I'm Brian, and this episode we're going to stick. I've been asked a couple questions so far, and most of them have to deal with how is it being a member or how do I become a member. And what I thought this specific episode, which is why my kids are not here, is how I became a member myself, or me and my wife, I guess. Neither of my kids were alive back then, and we, of course, thought into the future of having our children and them benefiting because of this. So essentially, our story starts with my planning of our honeymoon. So my wife and I were married in 2005, and earlier in that year, I was actually living in Colorado for work, and my wife was back in Iowa, and I started planning out all of the honeymoon details. She didn't really know anything of them, so I kind of did it as a surprise. But I was looking at Disney World. I definitely wanted to do Disney World. She had never been to Disney World, and I kind of wanted to look at various resorts. My favorite resort up to that point, at least, was my first Disney resort that I stayed at, which was the Polynesian Resort. I thought that was just the best experience I ever had on any vacation when I actually stayed at Disney's Polynesian. It was one that we typically, every time we went down to Disney World, we would usually stay off property at Best Western or something. And back then, Disney actually had stop by kind of planning stuff in Ocala, Florida, on your way down as you were traveling down. And you could stop there, and they had a small Disney store with treats and stuff, and then where you could actually buy park tickets and then plan your stay and actually get reservations made. And when we stopped there, my dad decided to ask if they had any deals, and we actually got a really good rate at the Polynesian, which was fantastic. And long story short, I loved that vacation. It was one of my favorites I actually had because of staying on property. And we actually stayed during a hurricane. A hurricane had come through while we were staying there, and I think it was Hurricane Aaron, and it was amazing how quiet it was in the room. You'd open up the curtains and you could just see the trees about half bent over. You really couldn't hear the hurricane. And the next day, Disney staff was just out there like crazy cleaning everything up. It was an awesome experience. But that said, that led into when I was trying to book our stay for our honeymoon, I first looked at Polynesian and saw the room rates, and I knew I was going to pay a lot for various items. But then I also always wanted to stay on Disney's Boardwalk, so that was another one I was looking at. And then I happened on a Boardwalk Villas. Well, I was like, oh, what's that? I wasn't aware of this. I did not know anything about DVC at this time. So I eventually actually looked at the room rates. The villas, and this is a cash rate, was actually slightly cheaper than the standard Boardwalk rooms at that time. So I said, ooh, and you get a refrigerator, and oh, cool, awesome. So I booked it. And then when I actually got handled by Disney, they actually contacted me about everything. And I had mentioned that it was our honeymoon, and I wanted to make sure everything was good and everything. And when we actually arrived, after our wedding and everything, we took the flight down, and we were just having a joyous blast. And we arrived at the resort, and they automatically upgraded us to a one-bedroom suite rather than the standard studio that I had booked because it was our honeymoon, which is, of course, that's Disney magic, right? They're going to do that kind of stuff, and it's not a guarantee that they'll do that for you, but that was, of course, just made our trip because then we experienced what a one-bedroom villa was like. And, of course, if you look at it from the other mindset of their point of view, this is a great way to actually introduce a brand new couple or a brand new married couple into what DVC resorts can be or what DVC rooms can be by showing them a much more amenitied room. So we got a one bedroom which comes with a full kitchen rather than just the small kitchenette, and had the separate master bedroom suite basically with a jacuzzi tub. And it was just, that first night there was just, took every other stay I'd ever stayed at any resort anywhere and blew it out of the water. And then being able to walk into Epcot, and Epcot's one of my favorite all-time resorts. That whole trip, our honeymoon, I think sits in me and my wife's heart as our probably best trip of all time. And it's hard to beat that one because of all the Disney magic that had actually happened. However, during our stay, a couple days in, I got a note. It actually was just a note slid under the door. I think it was slid under there. That or it was placed on our. It was actually placed by the housekeeping staff. They invited us to learn more about DVC membership, what it entails, by actually going on a small tour and talking with one of the staff members. It was going to take up a small section of time. No, there was no strings attached. But by doing so, they were actually going to give us, I think it was $100 voucher to use at back then it would be the DVC Marketplace or Downtown Disney, or a Disney Marketplace, sorry. And of course, we're buying gifts for our families, so it was like $100 is awesome. And I also wouldn't mind knowing what this DVC thing is. So, you read about it all over the parks, you read about it everywhere, you read it on the buses. What is this DVC? The best kept secret. So we decided to do it. And we went there, and we got a tour of a room, we got a tour of things, and then we actually sat down with an advisor, and Hubert is his name, and he is fantastically one of the nicest people I think I have ever met. And our sit down with him, he went over everything that there was to go over. He explained what DVC is. It is a timeshare, but it isn't a traditional timeshare because it's not, I buy into something, I get it for, these are the dates that I get it for, and that's all I can use it for. And of course, a lot of companies have also mimicked this now. There are a lot of companies, it's a point-based timeshare. Yes, you buy into a specific property, and when I bought in, we bought in at Saratoga Springs. You buy in at a specific allotment of points, and you choose how many points that you get to choose, or how much you want per year, based on how long you're going to stay and the type of amenities and stuff you want when you're staying there. And you get to choose what time of year you want to, book at. Of course, you're booking things just like anything else. They could sell out at that time. However, you can book at all of the properties. All properties within the Disney Vacation Club umbrella. You can use them on Disney resorts as well. The price per room or the cost per night is substantially higher than it would be at any of the DVC resorts because the DVC resorts are owned by DVC members, so you get a much better rate. And you can also use them outside of Disney by resort swapping with RCI. Well, now it's RCI. Back then it was not. And various other experiences all over the world. And so you can use them more than just Disney, which of course also attracted us, but we were, and this was my wife's first Disney trip, so she, of course, was thinking more outside of Disney. I saw it as I get to go to Disney World more frequently, and I get to take my kids, when I do have kids, to Disney World more frequently than I would have if I'm not a member. So this is looking at things. You can save, up to 50% off your vacations because a lot of your money for the vacation goes to the room that you're staying at, unless you're staying at a very, very inexpensive Motel 6 off property. If you want to stay on property or you want to stay at a nicer hotel, this is a way to actually save a lot of money over the long haul. Specifically, if you know you're going to be staying at Disney. Now, of course, I said you can use this outside of Disney, and you can. And it actually is a very good value outside of Disney. Even on the cruise ships, you can use it. But the best price per point you're going to get is at Walt Disney World or Disneyland at a Disney Vacation Club resort. That's how I've actually used it to this day. Every single stay that I've actually stayed at was at a DVC owned and operated resort. That's not by coincidence. The room rates are just fantastic. So I've stayed at multiple resorts, and I can honestly tell you that they're some of the best resorts I've ever stayed at. But going back, when we were actually sitting down and he was discussing this and showing us, okay, here's how much it would cost, how much, he basically brought up how much I paid for my room. And I paid for a studio at the Boardwalk. This is how much you paid for that room. This is how it works out. This is how much it would be allotment if you stayed there for, and of course, prices are going to go up. Inflation takes place. Room rates go up. They don't stay the same. And then based on the DVC, how much it costs to purchase the membership, how much the dues are per year, and of course those dues will change based on taxes and things as well, and how much that allotment over the 50 years. Well, I think when we did it was 49 years because it's 50 years from when the resort opens. But how it all priced out, and it was pretty fast and easy to figure it out if you have any kind of math skills that the DVC, if you're going to go to Disney World and you know you're going to go there frequently, the DVC is the best purchase you're going to get, specifically if you're going to stay on property, right? So it kind of sealed the deal in my mind. I'm definitely highly interested in this if we can make this work. Before we left, he also told us, and to be honest, this was the least pressure sales I've ever been involved with. I mean, this was like, if this does not work, we don't want you to do it. They don't want us to stretch our budget. They don't want us to do these things. It was very, very no pressure, which was awesome. And actually, to be honest, it helped me buy into it more, because this is a company that actually does care about, or at least appearance wise, cares about me a little bit. So, and in the end, they said because you're staying in a DVC room on your honeymoon, we can actually take the money that you paid for your room and actually apply that as a down payment onto my. And that, of course, holy cow, that's awesome, because that was thousands of dollars. So, I mean, we really were thinking about. They had a little ice cream social. We had some free ice cream, and then they drove us to. We actually went right to downtown Disney from there, and used the money that they had given us because we sat down and listened to their whole thing. Now, the whole experience was awesome. Actually, I actually liked learning about it. I liked seeing the rooms. I liked doing all of that, and in the end, it actually took us. Our honeymoon was in October. We didn't actually officially purchase until January. Now, when I actually was working with our advisor on that, he said, yeah, as long as you purchase it by the time your vacation is ended, we can definitely apply the room. When we actually called back in January, because we really wanted to do it, but of course, that's a lot of money. And then January rolled around, we decided, you know what, this is something we would really love to do. And so I actually called him directly and said, look, if there's any way that we can apply that, we definitely want to do it. If there isn't a way, then we definitely have to think about it some more, because that, several $1,000s of room payment as a down payment would help our costs for the loan. So in the end, they came back and said, you know what, we're fine. We would definitely would love to have you as members. So yes, we would definitely do it. So it was great. We did the whole paperwork and everything all through the mail. I wasn't even down there to do the paperwork. We did everything, signed everything, and sent everything, and everything is kind of history from there. But becoming a member was a magical experience in itself for me and my wife. We absolutely love being members. Even so much so, several years ago when we had a lot of heavily financial troubles, we got to the point where it was, do we sell this thing? Do we sell it back? Because I don't know if we're going to be able to afford this anymore. We got to the point where, it would have been probably a sane decision, but we did not want to give it up. And so there were several things that we did to make sure that it worked properly, but essentially we fast-tracked to pay off the loan so we don't have the loan payment. You can at least a 10-year mortgage out on that property. So we actually paid it off well before 10 years so that we didn't have that heavy mortgage payment. But there's a lot of options out there. And if you're interested in becoming a Disney Vacation Club member, I highly recommend talking to them, because they are fantastic. I haven't actually just talked to my advisor actually in the last couple years, which is hard to say, because usually every trip I tended to send him an email, or I tended to actually stop by. If we were staying at Saratoga Springs especially, we would actually stop by and see him and say hi, because he is a fantastic person. And if he is, I'm going to actually check to see if he actually still is an advisor and still actually helping people plan or become members. If he is, I am going to actually put his information directly below here. If you have any desire to become a member, I highly recommend contacting him. Now, I'm not trying to pressure into contacting him, and I'm not trying to do anything other than saying he is awesome. He is a fantastic person, and I will put his information down there if he's still an advisor. And I also will put, if you would like to, I will put my reference, and you can tell him that you found out about the DVC or Disney Vacation Club, or you are contacting him because I actually recommended it. I will put my information down there as a member as well, so you can actually let them know who, I guess, directed you that way. But And if you do mention that, I highly appreciate it. You know, as a DVC member, they do have affiliates, I guess. You know, if you have a family member that also wants to become a member, to let them know that, to tell them, you know, like anything out there, right? Hey, let them know that I told you about it so that I can earn credit from it or whatever. But that's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I am a wholehearted believer in the DVC program as a whole, or the whole membership. So that was a big rant, and of course I probably skipped a whole bunch of little sections, and there's probably a lot of questions you may have based on what I actually told you, or maybe you want to know more about my story, whichever. Let me know in the comments, or actually, you know what, send me a link directly. It is help@dvcgeeks.com. That's where we set up our email, so you can actually contact us directly, and we will keep up on this as a weekly show. And now, of course, the holiday on yesterday, so we had to skip Sunday and do it today on Tuesday. But that said, if you have any questions about DVC membership, anything questions about just planning your vacation as a whole, whether you're a DVC member or not, don't hesitate to contact us there. If we don't feature on the show, at least we'll send you a link back or send you help through our email. So thanks for watching, guys, and I hope to be back next Sunday, or right around Sunday, with another video, hopefully answering some more questions. So, till then, see you soon.